Tonight, before thousands leave town for Thanksgiving, city officials are urging residents to take precautions.
And if you're staying in town for the holiday, Wazoo has some fun activities planned all over campus.
Also, Washington State representatives launch a new effort to promote centrist-minded politicians. Murrow News 8 starts now.
From Studio B on the campus of Washington State University, this is Pullman's only nightly newscast. This is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Shannon Hecht.
And I'm Stella Sun. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
Whitman County sheriffs arrested a man for allegedly robbing several locations around the county. It's believed Kirk Lee stole $1,500 in tools and equipment from his previous employer in the town of Albion. Sheriffs responded to 2 thefts near Colfax on Wednesday and quickly identified Lee as the suspect. The holiday season is just beginning, and as many head out of town, Pullman may become a popular place for packages to get stolen right off of doorsteps. Police say that not giving thieves the chance to steal your purchases is key. It is recommended that you make prior arrangements so that packages are not left out in the open. The City of Pullman plans to continue leaf pickup next week on College Hill and is asking residents leaving town not to leave their cars parked on the street. Those staying in town are urged to avoid parking on all the streets and at all costs and instead utilize off-street parking. Leaves will be picked up in neighborhoods across Pullman from Monday through Wednesday. Not everyone is able to go home for the holidays, and WSU wants those staying around town to feel at home. The Asian American and Pacific Islander Center and Multicultural Student Services will be open for those staying around. Student leaders are planning events and are inviting students to Thanksgiving dinners. Visit each center for more information.
Cultural acceptance and competency is an important asset for ASWSU and the WSU community. Now they are considering enacting a mandatory cultural competency training for new students. Our reporter Brooke Wolford shows how students feel about the idea.
The Associated Students of Washington State University discussed a resolution that proposed making cultural competency training mandatory for all new students during Week of Welcome. ASWSU President Jordan Frost is skeptical about the proposed model's effectiveness.
It's not realistic to make that a mandatory requirement. One, they're not all going to do it. And two, I'm from the frame of mind that if you have to force someone like over a ledge to do something, they're not going to get the information you want them to get.
A Malaysian student studying at WSU recounts encounters that make him believe cultural competency is needed.
They passed by us and I could faintly hear one of them said, "Is he wearing a bomb jacket?" He's probably wearing a bomb jacket or something along those lines. I'm kind of paraphrasing right at this point, but yeah, that just made my blood boil.
I'm here in the Compton Student Union building to find out how students might feel about cultural competency training.
When you're coming into like such a big university, and a lot of towns around here are not that big, and a lot of people come from small towns, so I would probably say it'd be most beneficial.
Well, I think it would probably help students understand each other, and not just people that you grew up with, all kinds of people that you come to the university and meet.
I think it would be a good idea because it's offering people to understand more about other cultures and where they come from, and so that would like get rid of ideas of people thinking like maybe they're better than each other.
Brooke Wolford, Murrow News 8.
The former WSU College Republicans president James Alsup is building a media empire distributing right-wing populism. James Alsup says the Unite the Right rally helped increase his media following and presence. The College Republican National Committee asked Alsup and other college Republican leaders who supported the event to resign. Since resigning, Alsup is focused on increasing his presence on social media, which has grown to over 170,000 subscribers on YouTube.
People don't sit down and watch the evening news. Just for example, like my YouTube demographics, 80% of the audience is like under the age of 30.
Alsup says social media outlets like YouTube allow him to bypass establishment media. He is also a co-host of the National Review, where he also talks about right-wing politics. A new movement in Washington State wants to support independent, centrist-minded candidates for elected office. A former Democratic congressman and a former head of state Republican Party member launched the Washington Independents as a safe place for non-conforming politicians. About 600 people have shown interest in its work. Organizers are currently seeking socially liberal candidates who are fiscally conservative. Coming up, thousands of gallons of oil spill in South Dakota.
And the investigations into sexual harassment of our nation's political leaders continues. Stay with us.
No more pencils, no more books. No more teachers' dirty looks. School's out for summer. School's out forever. School's out with fever. School's out completely.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%. And it can happen in every place.
School's out for summer.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
Disaster struck South Dakota yesterday as the largest oil spill in the state's history ravaged the land. A total of 210,000 gallons of oil leaked from the Keystone pipeline. That is equal to about 5,000 barrels of oil. Crews shut down the controversial pipeline, and officials are investigating the cause of the leak. It comes days before Nebraska officials announce a decision on whether the proposed Keystone XL pipeline can move forward. The Senate version of the tax reform bill passed the Finance Committee late last night. The bill will now move forward to the full Senate. They hope to pass the legislation by Thanksgiving. Republicans in the House of Representatives also passed their version of the bill early yesterday. The House tax reform bill passed with a vote of 227 in favor and 205 against. The plan will cut corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%.
Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken is being accused for the sexual harassment of a radio news anchor, Leanne Tweeden. Tweeden posted details about the harassment yesterday on her news station's website, saying that Franken kissed and groped her without consent, which made Tweeden feel embarrassed, belittled, and humiliated.
People need to take a long, hard look at the culture that has been happening since, you know, men and women have walked the earth, frankly.
Franken has since apologized twice to Tweeden for his actions. Senators from New York, Wisconsin, and Montana are chiming into the situation by making plans to use money donated by Franken to support domestic and sexual violence support groups.
The Senate Ethics Committee is being asked to do something it hasn't done in 25 years, investigate a sitting senator. Just hours after Senator Franken's accusations surfaced, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell called for an Ethics Committee probe. Franken himself said he supports an investigation and will fully cooperate. Current politicians are not the only ones under scrutiny by the public for sexual harassment. Former President George H.W. Bush is facing new allegations from a Michigan woman who claims he touched her inappropriately while he was in office in 1992. The woman says Bush grabbed her rear end during a photo op at a re-election campaign fundraiser. The woman says she ignored the action at the time, but recent groping allegations against Bush made her rethink the incident. 6 other women mentioned similar accounts with the former president. Homeland Security's head of community outreach resigned over past controversial comments on Black and Islamic communities. In past radio appearances, Reverend Jamie Johnson said the Black community was responsible for turning major U.S. cities into slums and argued that Islam's only contribution to society was oil and dead bodies. Johnson apologized for his comments before confirming his resignation.
You know, still, it seems like there's a new controversy every day with politicians and now with the Homeland Security. I don't know what to think of it.
You know, I'm just really glad that we have media to make sure that this information surfaces and so that the public is aware of everything that's going on.
As long as we all keep doing our jobs right.
Exactly.
After the break, Elizabeth Medina is tracking our weekend weather.
She'll tell you just what to expect for a busy traveling weekend ahead.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up?
Oh, we finally bought a place.
Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Many WSU students and Pullman families are heading over to the west side of the mountains for Thanksgiving. Liz, what can travelers expect to see over the weekend and into next week?
Well, overall today was a pretty sunny day, and for those that have already traveled home for break, more than likely you would expect that they would have had a pretty safe drive. Now currently it is about 37 degrees, and man, that wind is having everyone bundling up. Now as we look over for tomorrow, you will expect that same wind to come through as long as it'll basically be cloudy most during the day. Now, as we look at our state map, you'll see that over on the West Coast, most of the West Coast cities received a lot of rain. Looking over at central Washington, Yakima and Wenatchee didn't receive rain, but mostly got clouds. The same can be said for Spokane and Pullman, the only one receiving sunlight. Now, as we move ahead into seeing the rest of the weekend, you'll see that Sunday you will be receiving rain, but then that's going to transition out and we're going to have some nice sunny weather on Monday. So for those that are staying here in Pullman, or if Pullman is your home for Thanksgiving break, looks like we're going to kick off next week with some really good weather and have sun. Now moving on, as we see Tuesday and on, it'll be cloudy and we'll have some rain. So definitely on Wednesday, you might want to get prepared, have your raincoat ready and have your umbrella ready. You surely do not want to leave those at home if you plan to go out, or even if you plan to go get some groceries or last minute shopping for Thanksgiving. Definitely have your raincoat ready. And then Thursday, we're going to finish off with some clouds. It seems to be at about 48 degrees. So overall, Thanksgiving will be a little cold, but you know what? If you have those candles and everybody that is going to get together for Thanksgiving break, that'll sure keep everyone warm. Now, when we come back, we hope that all of you, we wish you all safe travels and advise you to keep checking your local forecast and stay up to date. We'll be right back.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark.
That was awesome! Let's go again!
3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Now that's all we have for our news segment, but now we have Austin Getz joining us to talk about the WSU's first Cougar Corner. Austin, what's going on in the world of sports?
Yeah, we had a big week in sports this past week. We had professional basketball as well as professional football. We have NBA superstars making some interesting comments. And then, of course, WSU released its football schedule for next year and a big week in Cougar basketball. So a lot to talk about coming up.
I'm excited to hear it, Austin.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Join us every weeknight at 7 and 10 p.m. for Pullman's only nightly newscast.
Have a great night, and don't forget to follow Murrow News 8 on Facebook and Twitter.
Stick around after the break. The very first WSU Cougar Corner keeps up to date with sports. Have a good night. You know what?